Beryl is an ultimate sword master living in a peaceful rural area. Though he's reached the state of sword and self as one, he still tirelessly trains. But the most important thing is that he's over 30 and still single. His venerable old father frequently brings this up, saying he really wants a grandchild to hold. Beryl talks about his training, but his dad thinks 20 years is more than enough. It's time to find a wife. The old man feels his son is ignoring his filial duties by not fulfilling his father's wish. Beryl's main job is currently teaching swordsmanship to many students around the village. With more and more students coming, he uses it as an excuse. These are all descendants anyway. Besides, without a wife, where am I going to get grandchildren? His dad thinks there's no shortage of beautiful girls at this dojo, he could just pick one to be his wife. Beryl refuses and has to go somewhere else to stop the old man from nagging him. Inside, he continues sparring and instructing his students. Since the day he was born, Beryl has always held a sword. When he was young, he dreamed of becoming a great swordsman, but he lacked confidence in himself. Plus, now that he's older, his speed is declining. Even so, he's not sad, he feels he belongs here. Although he's not a great swordsman, Beryl has a talent for teaching, which is why so many disciples come to learn. Furthermore, almost all of those he trains go on to achieve success. At dinner, his father again brings up finding a wife for his son, turning to his wife, "You think so too, right?" She gently replies, "That will happen sooner or later." Beryl thinks his mother is amazing. With just one sentence, she stops his father from saying anything. However, she also really wants a grandchild to hold. Just then, an old student knocks on the door. It's Alucia, currently the captain of the Royal Knights. Consider Beryl's teaching efforts repaid. He asks what brings her here today, and she explains that she is also currently teaching swordsmanship to her subordinates. Beryl feels proud because Alucia was a talented rough diamond from a young age. Today, she's here to announce that Beryl will become a special instructor for the knights. He doesn't understand at all and is shown a letter of introduction with the royal seal. If he refuses this, he'll definitely be executed, no joke. Alucia urges him, "Master, please prepare quickly, I'll be waiting outside in the carriage to depart for tomorrow." Beryl doesn't teach today, so she deliberately came today to avoid affecting the dojo. His father agrees, also requesting that he bring a daughter-in-law back, and even pairing Beryl with Alucia because she is very beautiful. He thinks his father is talking nonsense because there is quite a large age difference between them. This is what Beryl thinks, unaware that Alucia actually likes him. She doesn't care about the age difference, but she doesn't dare tell Beryl directly about her feelings. Later, while in the carriage, Beryl asks if his junior disciple still uses the sword he gave her. This was a gift after graduation. He's happy to see Alucia cherish it, but thinks the captain of the Royal Knights should use a better sword. She happily replies, "I feel like this gift is still very handy, so I don't want to change it." He always thought the teacher should be better than the student, but perhaps Alucia surpassed him long ago. Being respected, Beryl is very happy, but at over 30 years old, keeping up with the current generation is a bit difficult. The girl then calls her teacher Holy Sword of the countryside. Finally, the Master Swordsman has come to the capital. Alucia calling Beryl Holy Sword is completely justified. Because he has trained many top swordsmen and adventurers. Beryl self-deprecatingly thinks that perhaps only this student thinks that way. Becoming an instructor for the Royal Knights is very suitable for him. Most importantly, she wants to take this opportunity to improve her relationship with her teacher. And so they traveled until nearly evening, when they finally arrived at the capital. Since it's been a long time since he's been out like this, the teacher plans to buy souvenirs. The student also finds him a place to rest for the night, then they'll figure out what to do tomorrow. As expected, Beryl is not used to life in a crowded urban area. The next morning, they stood before the entire army for the introduction. Alucia states that her teacher is much stronger than she is. The result makes many people unhappy, thinking that this is just a country bumpkin with nothing special. After saying a few words, Beryl is praised for being too emotional in his speech. According to the contract, from now on, he will have to come here to teach a few days a week, which will not affect his work at the dojo. At this time, another student runs over to greet him. She's Karuni, a junior in the same class as Alucia. Although still young, this girl is currently working as a knight. Remembering back then, this girl always tried to practice to get here. The dream has been realized, and the credit is also thanks to Beryl's teaching. They will be here to support, so they hope he will order them around as he pleases. In the evening, Beryl returns home in a very happy mood. Even happier when there are guests at home. It's Jandrich, one of Beryl's elite disciples. This young man now has a family and children, unlike the teacher who still doesn't have a single relationship. That's why his father asks his son to return to the royal capital to pick up girls, and let Jandrich take care of the swordsmanship teaching at the dojo. The request is that he doesn't come back here until he gets a wife, shocking Beryl. He asks and finds out that the young man moved back to the countryside because his wife just gave birth, and as an adventurer, he wanted to find a peaceful place to live during this time. Beryl feels a little wasteful because he has reached platinum rank and now has to quit. Jandrich always remembers his teacher's kindness. Beryl thinks that he taught him 10 years ago. And achieving success now is due to his own efforts, he didn't help at all. Adventurers are rich, but it comes with danger, so staying here to teach swordsmanship is also good. The old man strongly believes in this disciple, wants to hand everything over to the young man, and push his son to the royal capital, so it's a win-win situation. Although Beryl didn't want to, he was cornered and had no choice but to accept the outcome. The next day, the teacher had to ask Alucia to help him find a boarding house. She felt lucky because that would make it easier to woo him. The inn they stayed at the night before was very good, but the price was high. Now that he needs to stay in the city for a while, his top priority is to choose a cheap place. The girl also invites her teacher to live in her house to save money, but Beryl refuses outright because that's not right. Hearing that, she's a little sad, then invites him to eat, considering this a real date. At this moment, someone suddenly criticizes the commander of the Royal Knights for being with a strange man. Hearing that, Beryl is a little worried because he's afraid of bringing shame to Alucia. The speaker is Lysandra, her archenemy. Because they don't want to argue, they leave. However, the big girl still follows to ask who this man called teacher is. Beryl has never seen a black adventurer badge before, so he's curious. Looking up, he's called teacher by Lysandra, because in fact, she was also taught by him. They haven't met for a very long time. She tries to rekindle the old memories, saying that she was adopted by Beryl and taught swordsmanship. Hearing that, Beryl also remembers that time, not expecting her to grow up so much. Lysandra always wanted to tell her teacher about her success, but didn't have the opportunity. Beryl smiles, once you've grown up, everyone is busy. It's good to see her become someone admirable like this. Asking about the reason they're together, Alucia says that the teacher is an instructor for the Royal Knights and that she's looking for a place to stay for Beryl. Hearing that, Lysandra thinks that no one is better at finding a suitable place than her. This also makes sense because she's been an adventurer for so many years. Again, the two keep fighting each other, making Beryl confused. They searched until the afternoon, when they finally found a place that met all the criteria. Beryl also has to thank Alucia, and praises that they are indeed close. They smile and ask to leave so the teacher can rest. The next morning is the first day to start training the young knights. However, the vice captain does not accept it. To be an instructor, he must be better than them, so he wants to test his skills with the teacher. Alucia also introduces Beryl to this young man, Drought, but she also agrees to the challenge on her own, considering this a good opportunity to show them his strength. Suddenly pulled into a battle, Beryl had to comply. Everyone shows contempt, thinking that he's only praised by the captain, but there's no way he's as strong as the rumors say. Beryl doesn't care because he's just a middle-aged uncle after all, wanting at least not to lose face in front of the younger generation. The match begins. According to the assessment, Drought has very strong chopping power. But his technique is a bit poor. He can be easily defeated by deflecting the attack. People think that Beryl got lucky, but in reality, he tried to stop in time to avoid hurting others. The young man continues to attack with all his strength. Indeed, the speed and power of each chop are terrible, but the attack method is too simple and predictable. Being knocked back continuously, he unleashes his strongest technique, but somehow Beryl dodges it, immediately slips behind and ends the battle. Alucia also asks the vice captain if he's satisfied. He immediately changes his mind, praising the teacher for being too wonderful, wanting to be taught more in the future. The others also start to stop talking about Beryl's personality. In the evening, the whole group gathers to celebrate the first day of teaching. Drought pays for everything, as an apology for looking down on him. Beryl doesn't care because suddenly there's an old man who comes and demands to be taught. Such a reaction is normal. Beryl also points out many places for the young man to improve. In the countryside at this time, Jandrich is confiding in the teacher's father. He's also very happy that Beryl can leave here. Talented swordsmanship like that is too wasteful if he spends the rest of his life teaching. He claims that he has never met anyone as strong as Beryl. The father is looking forward to his son bringing a daughter-in-law home.